Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Lizardmen led by E-Banker, facing off against the Chaos Dwarfs, who are going to be helmed by For Poland. Let's get this party started and see if the Dread Saurian can cause some havoc. Should be fun. Now for the Dino build, it is going to be a Banana Slan, which is a Slan of Life, and pretty much the guaranteed go-to if you want to have a big monster getting healed. Granted, I guess you could go Mazda Mundi as well and just use Apotheosis to heal up your dinos, but the more direct route, of course, is just going a Slan of Life because Regrowth is just objectively better and Earthblood is quite good as well. Shredder of Lustria, a little bit of a risky pick against Chaos Dwarves, but it's massive. I believe this thing has the most HP in the game of any model. Obviously in multiplayer campaign, things can get a little bit different, but I know that Kugath has like 14,900 something, so I think the Dread Saurian has Kugath beat by like a couple hundred HP, but anyways, I digress. The whole thing about the Dread Saurian is it's a huge damage sponge, right? So like a Death-Free Rocket Launcher, Fire Glaives. Chaos Dwarves do have a fair amount of shooting that can really punish this, but if they can't quite finish the job, if it's able to survive and do a lot of damage itself and get heals and absorb a lot of the Chaos Dwarf army, it's not only going to be doing damage, but allowing the rest of the lizards to really shine. And yeah, it's quite a swarm aside from that. Skink cohorts with javelins, red-crested skinks, which are quite good against Chaos Dwarves for their price point. They trade super well into Chaos Dwarf infantry, and can do okay against the chaff as well. And yeah, pretty much just mass lizard chaff with the big Dread Saurian, going to be looking to try and carry the game. Now for the army of For Poland here, he's coming in with the Sorcerer Prophet of Fire, going to be dropping some Burning Heads, which are very cost-effective against dinos. Saurus don't take quite as much damage, but even still at 60 armor, Saurus are still a relatively decent target for Burning Head, and you can use it to clear out skinks too. Frontline's going to be very Chaos Dwarf heavy, actually. Very interesting. You don't see this too often, but Blazing Beards of Basheret, Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and Dwarf Warriors into the sunset with some Goblin Laborers, most likely just there for capture weight, just to kind of throw in front of things. And in the back, we do have a couple units, I believe, of Infernal Guard Fire Glaives with their awesome ponytails. These guys are ready to party, looking straight Steven Seagal up in this game. And yeah, they're a pretty good answer against a lot of the dino threats. They can shoot at any number of the big targets, and if they get rampaged on by big targets, let's say the cavalry or the monsters want to attack them, they do have anti-large halberds, so should be pretty cool. Am I missing anything? Don't think so. One Magma Cannon in the back. Magma Cannons are quite good. They can melt infantry swarms, and the Lizard meta, I would say, is more kind of inclined to go super wide in my experience. So the Magma Cannon, I do think, is a very good call, and you can see it's already going to be melting some of these skink cohorts right here. Those bad boys not having a good time. So 15 leadership and have lost about 30% of their HP in that shot, as both armies are going to be posturing up. Objectives here will be opening up in about 30 seconds. Now, where's the Dread Beast? Okay, it looks like the Dread Saurian's kind of chilling out in the bushes, and we do also see some Feral Cold Ones coming in. Feral Cold Ones are an excellent choice as well. They're a very good counter against Chaos Dwarf Troopers. And, you know, that's what I always feel about Chaos Dwarves. I'm like, man, the big units in the army, like the artillery and the specialty pieces and the lords, they always carry pretty hard. But it's very rare that you see Chaos Dwarf infantry actually do very well. Which makes sense. I think Dwarvish infantry in general are like a little bit better at what they do for their price point. But, you know, obviously the Dwarf should be better at the Chaos Dwarfs in some things because Chaos Dwarfs have magic and some pretty crazy stuff on their roster as well. Big flank on the side here. Looks like it's going to be some Hobgoblin sneaky gets. I actually really like that pick for Poland here. I feel like their anti-infantry bonus is going to make them trade super cost effectively into the red-crested skinks. And it looks like the skinks are going to be pushing into the backfield, but they will be taking some firepower to the face from the Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses. Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses are pretty rad. They like hit so hard that they like stagger the advancing units, which is kind of a unique thing. I mean, I've seen some handgun units do it before, but look at this, man, just pounding fire into these red-crested skinks. But, I mean, they're doing their job, right? They're absorbing the firepower and allowing the Shredder of Lustria and the Ripper Dactyls who've been called in to flank and really get some work in there. So, yep, Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses are going to have a bad time now that Godzilla is here, and he's going to be moving straight for the Fire Glaives, which of course do have the anti-large halberds, pulling some shots in the last second, but oh man, this is going to be devastating. I mean, I know they are anti-large, but the Dreader of Lustria, the Shredder of Lustria plus the old flyers here are going to be tearing these things apart pretty quickly, probably before they can return the damage. And yeah, looking a little bit tough for them. But in the front line, Chaos Dwarfs do win the fight against most of the chaff. Obviously, it was mostly just skink cohorts, a very chaff-centric army in the front line. So Chaos Dwarfs do take objective number 2 and objective number 3. Looks like they're going to be able to hold on to both these most likely if they use their labors. But the backfield for the Chaos Dwarfs is looking to be a little bit hectic. Certainly, probably needing some Bull Centaur renders right now with the great weapons to come in and try and fight the Shredder of Lustria. I'm not sure. This thing's a bit of a pain. Also, you would normally probably see a Death-Streak rocket launcher because of how effective it might be against various Lizardmen monsters. On this side, Clever Girls engaging, trying to penetrate into the backfield, but Clever Girls will be probably out-traded here by the Hobo Goblins, 26, 26, and 28 for their respective combat stats. But the backfield's basically non-existent. We see the Magma Cannon getting taken down by the Shredder of Lustria. We see the Infernal Guard Fireglyphs and the Blunderbusses all going offline. So that's going to be leaving the Chaos Dwarf Infantry to really carry the load in tandem here with the big Sorcerer Prophet of Fire. Okay, it looks like he's been a busy one. The Banana Slan's in a little bit of danger here. So E-Banker is getting his Lord popped by the old Hobo Goblins. Looks like they might be able to shank this guy down. And I would wager that Chaos Dwarf Lord should come over here for sure and try and finish the job before this thing can get salvaged by its big Dread Saurian. You know, the beast is coming back to protect its master, and we'll see if it arrives in time. Objective 2, firmly in control of Chaos Dwarfs, Blazing Beards of Asherik, Laborers galore. The side point looks like it's going to be controlled by the Chaos Dwarfs as well as obviously the Dwarf Infantry, going to be out-trading these chaff-centric units. Granted, they take some damage in the process, and most likely will now be ripped apart by Ripperdactyls, but the thing is, the Ripperdactyls obviously don't have capture weight, so despite the fact they're just going to wreck these guys, but they're not going to be able to capture the point, is essentially what I was saying. I think I'm about to repeat myself, man. That's what I get for casting at 3 a.m. Always a fun time. You know, it's just when the brain feels sharp, but I guess it really isn't. Charges from both sides. Ripperdactyl sandwich, baby. Sandwiching those Chaos Dwarves. Laborers coming in to try and salvage that, but I would imagine the Lizard's going to be having some follow-up here as they are re-rallying their units back in, and we do see a call-in of, what is this going to be? Is it going to be more capture weight? Yes, it is. Because the Ripperdactyls are certainly going to be very good at just butchering through these Chaos Dwarfs. Like, Chaos Dwarf Infantry, without the support of firepower and monsters, are going to get massacred by a lot of Lizardmen tools. And over on this objective, we do see the Slan living! The boy who got away, the one who lived. And the Dread Saurian came back, the Shredder of Lustria, and this thing is no joke. It's going to be able to push back this Sorcerer Prophet of Fire. It looks like that boy's going to be getting back up in the sky, and this objective is going to be flipping for the Dinos. But the Chaos Dwarfs do have a pretty considerable lead on points here. Looking at the value trade, Lizardmen are up in value and up on healing as well. So Lizardmen are probably realistically up about 1,500 value, I would guess, in this game, as we do see the Sorcerer Prophet of Fire trying to piece out here. Middle objective still Chaos Dwarf controlled, just a lot of chaff units holding that one down, and now it looks like the Lizards were able to get some of their units back to the Red-Crested Skinks and cohorts, and this objective probably will be flipping here as we see a massive amount of pointy hat boys getting ripped apart by Ripperdactyls, which I'm really happy that they kind of found a place. Like, Ripperdactyls were, I don't know how used they were in Warhammer 2. I feel like they're less common in land battle, but in Dom, I think they're very good. Those bad boys certainly good against these armored infantry, to say the least. Skink cohorts moving up. It is going to be flipping. And now, how are the Chaos Dwarfs going to get back in this game? So we do have their big flyer up in the sky. For Poland, still very much functional with his lord here, chasing down the Clawsodon Hunters, and now the Chaos Dwarfs are going to be counterpunching with some Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses coming out to try and put some hurt on the Shredder of Lustria, and some Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, which honestly not a bad choice. They will shred through Skink cohorts, like super hard, if they can get close without taking a lot of damage. And we do see the Lord jumping down. This objective might flip. Lizardmen are going to be responding with some Feral Cold Ones, which isn't a bad idea. Feral Cold Ones are pretty resilient for their price. They do have 90 armor, not the best melee defense, but if you're facing low armor-piercing units like Hobo Goblins, whether it be the Sneaky Gits or the Wolves, they're going to be pretty resilient, like I said. And they'll jump onto the point and probably should be able to wear these guys off. We'll have to keep tabs on that. Middle objective looking a little bit scary, though, as the Shredder of Lustria going to be descending on the land. Side objective, we do see a little bit of housekeeping being done, as the Lizardman player, not wanting to run out of fresh reinforcements, is going to be sending some of his dinos back home to heal up. Skinks here, battling it out with Laborers. I think this objective is pretty safe for the dinos, considering the Ripperdactyls are nearby. So now the battle for the middle objective is going to be taking place, as the Lizardmen actually flip it to a double cap. So Lizards do get the double cap, and obviously they could still win on 2 points here. Clever Girls coming in and just ripping through these Hobo Goblins. And Hobo Goblins have pretty bad leadership if they're not near Chaos Dwarves, if they don't have the Overseers kind of, keeping tabs on them. So yeah, they're gonna get melted there. And good night, Sweet Prince. Now back to the middle, the Shredder of Lustria, the reason you guys are all here. It's looking pretty hungry, and those blunderbusses coming in unsupported, they certainly were a good idea in theory, but with 2 Ripperdactyls running rampant, they would need a little bit of support. So like a Bull Centaur Render, a great weapon, would be a great addition here against the Ripperdactyls, because Rippers, unless they're Clawsodon Hunters, are pretty terrible. Not terrible, but subpar against big targets for their price point. But yeah, obviously shredding some armored infantry is their forte. So this objective looks like it could flip as well. Chaos Dwarfs do have a little bit of pressure on the side, as their Chorf Warriors do eventually start to wear down these Skinks. They might be able to flip that one back. We do see a couple Chaos Dwarfs here, and they might be able to get this point back. This is a very tight game in terms of the objectives, but I do think the Lizards are pretty firmly ahead overall. Maybe the Bull Centaur Renders are going to be enough to pull this back in tandem with some Infernal Ironsworn. Infernal Ironsworn looks like they use their blasting charges, but still a very resilient unit, very similar to Marauder Champions. A little bit tankier, 125 armor. They don't have the enrage mechanic, but yeah, they can certainly fight. But yeah, there's a lot of counters to them here. The Ripperdactyls will hard counter them. The Shredder of Lustria will give them the dirty. I mean, there's a lot of things they want to avoid, including Clever Girls as well. Sorcerer Prophet of Fire trying to flip this objective. Good idea here, backing up the Chaos Dwarves, but now we see the Ripperdactyls descending, and that is most likely going to be finishing off the Chaos Dwarves and the Labor units here, and this objective is maybe going to be staying in the paws of the Lizards. Yeah, it looks like it is, but the Bull Centaur Renders coming across. They might provide enough capture weight to flip this, and it looks like the capture weight is still going. Shredder of Lustria eyeing the prize. And the Shredder of Lustria would take a lot of damage fighting them, but it would be able to win just one-on-one. The Shredder of Lustria is a pretty terrifying fighter. Honestly, one of the better duelists in the game. The fact that it applies poison and has those like infinite range attacks, not infinite, but it basically feels that way. Really does some nasty work. So big blob fight going down here. Both players committing quite a bit of resources. We do see the Ripperdactyls diving in, and honestly, these Bull Centaur Renders probably going to be on the receiving end of this one. There's just too many Lizard units here, and even though Bull Centaur Renders do hit hard and are doing a pretty respectable job despite, pretty adverse circumstances, they're going to get melted here, and yeah, you can see the leadership is wavering. They just don't have enough support. We see the Chaos Dwarf Lord getting butchered here by the Ripperdactyl squad and the Shredder of Lustria, and it looks like E-Banker here taking control of the battle as he does go up 9.9 against 8.2 with healing taken into account. It's a pretty substantial lead. Middle objective owned by the Dinos, and the Skink cohort's holding pretty valiantly against the Infernal Fireglaves, or Infernal Iron Swarm, they're not Fireglaves. Fireglaves died a long time ago. Chaos Dwarf Blunderbuss is one of my favorite units. I love using these things. I feel like they were kind of overshadowed by some of the more OP units, but they're going to be descended upon for sure, and we see the Ripperdactyls flying above as they do rip some nice shots into the Toad over there. Oh, the Slan Mage actually kind of getting caught. Okay, that could be a little bit of a game changer maybe. If the Slan Mage goes down, leadership penalty on the Lizardmen army could be substantial. Granted, Dinos have pretty good core leadership as is. Saurus Warriors, I mean, obviously Skinks, their base leadership isn't amazing, but it's not bad either for what they cost. And that Slan Mage, once again, getting the fat, thick Slan heals off, getting a regrowth, getting a shield of the old ones, and certainly sitting quite comfortable here. Middle objective, objective number 2, owned by the Chaos Dwarfs. Those Infernal Ironsworn holding it down, providing heavy capture weight, but I think their time on this Earth might be a little bit limited as the Shredder makes its way over. On the side objective, we do see the Chaos Dwarfs controlling this one, and this is one of those like kind of side conflicts where people just send their Haggard Skirmishers to fight in chaff units, and I don't know who wins this one. The Hobo Goblins seem to trade pretty well into the Clever Girls in my experience. I think a lot of that is because Clever Girls only have 32 models against the 60 models of the Hobgoblins. And Hobgoblins do also get a bonus when they charge something in the back. So a little bit of a toss-up here. Not sure who's going to win it, but it looks like the Lizardmen are committing more assets. So are the Chaos Dwarves. Yeah, both players really fighting for the side points. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. But the middle point, to no surprise, goes to the Dinos. We see the Shredder of Lustria just melting through the Firesworn. Ironsworn, yeah, close enough, right? But the Ironsworn getting the Cascading Fire Cloak, going to be putting their melee defense up to 88, which is going to keep them fighting, and the objective has flipped. So the Dinos have gotten it, and this could be the death knell here for the Chaos Dwarves. As the Sorcerer Prophet of Fire tries to flee the scene, getting hunted by the Dreader of Lustria. I think that's pretty fun. He's wavering and getting little javelins poked at him, and it looks like his heal is going to be off cooldown in a couple seconds, so there's a chance he could get some healing. And I guess that should be taken into account with the value. The Chaos Dwarf Lord is approaching his healing cap. Basically how it works is he has an item called the Amulet of Blood and Darkness, in which every time your opponent casts a spell, it heals him on increments of 1 minute and 30 seconds. So it can proc once every minute and 30 seconds. So you cast it, and then it goes on cooldown and comes back. Nice little breath attack there from the Bale Taurus. Looks like he's going to be going for the kill, and might as well at this point go for broke. Your rock hard triple capped here by the Dinos, as we see E-Banker cutting through these Goblin Laborers here. And the rest of the Chaos Dwarfs pretty much push off this point. Lizardman Chaff is pretty good. I say the Skink cohorts and the Red Crested Skinks and just their Pharaoh Cold ones for like the ability to swarm objectives with cheap units that are also reasonable fighters. They certainly do it well. But Hobgoblin Sneaky Gets, in theory, should be able to beat Red Crested Skinks. But, the poison, I guess, is something I'm not taking into account. Their stat line's pretty jacked, too. Their Frenzy, 37 and 20 is definitely better than 29-21. But the bonus for its infantry advantage does lie on the side of the Sneaky Get, so something to look at there. Middle objective, that Shredder of Lustria man taking no prisoners, and it's basically just perpetually hunting the Sorcerer Prophet. Looks like he's going to be able to get away if he wants to. We get more blunderbusses coming into the backfield. We got some Hobo Goblins. It looks like they might have chased some Lizardmen units off the side of the map and didn't get a chance to rally back there. But a small mistake. Everybody makes it. And the Banana Toad, I think the Banana Toad did get unsummoned. Looking at the minimap up here, I only see the red star, which of course is for the Chaos Dwarf Lord. So I think the Banana Toad either got karate chopped or got unsummoned. We can check right now. So nope, he actually died. So the Banana Toad did get eaten by the Chaos Dwarf Lord, which is going to be a negative 12 leadership on the entire army, or 16. How it works is, if I'm not mistaken, when the Lord dies, it applies a shock penalty of negative 16 for a short period of time, and then it eventually stabilizes at negative 10 leadership after the initial shock is worn off. But Yeah, those blunderbusses have the right idea. They just run. They're like, screw the shit, we're going home. A couple Bull Centaur vendors coming back here trying to salvage the gun line, but the Chaos Dwarf gun line has been kind of trickling in using the dreaded Reaganomics and has not been coming in with support. They haven't been getting, big mass to protect them. I feel like the Chaos Dwarves have been trickling in a little bit too much and maybe need, with those like blunderbusses, maybe save up enough resources to call them in and also call in something to protect them. Because they just keep getting dived and annihilated by these Ripperdactyls, right? Whereas if they had some Bull Centaurs, like let's say two of the blunderbusses with like 2 Bull Centaurs behind them, it would have been a very tough cookie for the Lizardmen to crack, comparatively speaking. But the Backfield obviously got hammered super hard for Poland, but he did a very good job scrapping. But I do think this game is probably over at this point. We see the Sorcerer Prophet Lord running for the hills. The Dino's looking pretty comfortable on the objective. Over here on the side point, yeah, looking like the Chaos Dwarfs have a little bit of scrappiness still in them. So I don't know, man. Is there any chance the Chaos Dwarfs could do something here? I mean, they do have a cap point, but just one. The Dinos look like they're going to flip it as well. These Feral Cold Ones are about to go balls deep in this formation here, just running through this, and the Red-Crested Skinks will probably be able to collapse this. We do see some more chaff units on the way in. It's going to be Red-Crested Skinks looking pretty cool. It's the Shredder of Lustria just causing dread all over the battlefield. And the Chaos Dwarf Lord is on the run. He's not going to be able to provide too much more to the battle, but I would wager crazy value. Dude, it's always the Chaos Dwarf Lords and like artillery pieces that just like carry their games. Like the rest of the army is just like, I'm too weak. And then these guys are just like steroid monsters, They're very good. I mean, the Balesaurus characters are excellent. Their items are good, their lore magic. I find that they connect pretty well in combat. Like, some big single entities often miss, but they do get those hits in. So despite all this, the Chaos Dwarfs have found a way to get a double cap. But I'm pretty sure that, yes, at this point, it could be won by a Lizardman single cap. How is this even happening? How are the Chaos Dwarfs still in this game? I feel like they've been getting munched on. I guess it's kind of the classic curse of like the big monster can't be everywhere at once. Like, yes, they have a big advantage, but that big advantage is tied to this big beast, which isn't able to cover like the entire map, right? But for the Lizardman player, he needs to realize that he just needs one objective here. If he just holds ones down, he's going to win. So maybe pulling the Shredder of Lustria to the middle, but it looks like he's just going to be flipping the side. On that same note, though, the Dino player does have some time to work with. It's not like he's in a huge rush. If his opponent did start to flip these points, he has a little bit of cushion, but not too much. You got to be careful. Middle objective taken by the Hobo Goblins. The Prison Shanks have come out. Look at this, man. And the value's starting to creep back as, the micro trades across the map. The fact that the Banana Toad's gone, the leadership penalty on the Lizardman army, and the Sorcerer Prophet is still causing big terror routes and buckling a lot of the chaff-centric army of the Dinos is pretty substantial. So right here, we do see objective number 3. Will this one flip right now? Chaos Dwarf Warriors, not quite as resilient as their Dowie cousins, but still pretty hardy folk. And we do have a couple blunderbusses coming in. Blunderbuss is going to try and put some hurt on the Shredder of Lustria, and they'll be able to do a little bit of damage, not wanting to friendly fire their fellow Chaos Dwarfs here. Look at that camaraderie in their ranks is certainly admirable. But this objective, flipping back and forth, we see the capture weight going as the Goblin Laborers battle against the Skink cohorts, and it looks like the Laborers actually able to win that one. Red-Crested Skink's going to be trying to shut down the gun line. Guys, it's getting a little bit dicey here all of a sudden. My goodness. Is the Shredder of Lustria going to be able to do it? Oh man, they're going to need to capture 2 objectives like relatively soon. The Flyers come in, Ripperdactyls with mad chevrons. These guys are just partying in the chevron department. 1700 right now, and the middle objective looks like it's going to be going to the Dinos as the Shredder of Lustria does get in there. But man, the Chaos Dwarfs are closing the distance. This is turning out to be a crazy, crazy close game. I did not expect it. I really thought it was going to be over like a couple minutes ago. I even said it. I was like, oh, I don't think they can win at this point. But man, just the scrappiness of for Poland, man. He didn't hear no bell. He's going in there for a fight. Chaos Dwarf Warriors moving in. This objective does flip to the Dinos, which is going to hemorrhage the bleeding of victory points. And now the Dinos are going to need to get another cap here pretty soon. This side does not look like it's going to be possible. We see the Chaos Dwarf Lord here causing a lot of havoc. Good Hobo Goblin play. Those guys running in and just intercepting the chaff units. And they're pretty good at killing, low melee defense chaff with only 19 melee defense. I mean, come on, that's quite a steal right there. This objective 1, yep, in the hands of the Chaos Dwarves. Objective 3 is probably going to be the one that is attempted to, they're going to attempt to flip here, but they're going to have to do it really, really soon, guys. He's about to get past and score, rapidly running out of time. But there are some Red-Crested Skinks backed up by the Shredder of Lustria here. They're probably going to be able to get terror outs. And now we do see the objective starting to flip here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be down to the wire. This is going to be super, super close. But if the Shredder of Lustria can come in, get the terror out like instantly on these Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and these Laborers run off, then yeah, suddenly things could flip. We see the Goblin Laborers running, and now the objective is flipping very quickly, guys, and there are no Chaos Dwarfs nearby. Just a couple Haggard Laborers going to be marching out there trying to get the cap weight on there, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Objective 2 is owned by the Dinos, and there's no way the Chaos Dwarfs are going to be able to recap it. So the question is, did they do it quick enough? This objective flips to the Dinos. And guys, now it is basically just the clock going, and I'm pretty sure that the Dinos will just barely win this game. Like, it'll just come down to it. If my potato math serves, math was always my worst subject, but if it knows a thing or two, then maybe, just maybe, they're gonna get it. Yeah, we see at 1463, 65, rapidly catching them, and at this point, now I think it's safe to say GG. I don't think the Chaos Dwarfs are going to be able to muster enough capture weight between the Ripperdactyls and the Dreadsaurian, just kind of, marching back and forth. We get some Fireglaves coming in, which certainly isn't a bad idea to shoot down some of these monsters. But GG, ladies and gentlemen, well played by eBanker and for Poland. Super great game. For Poland was off to a really rough start, losing his artillery and his entire backfield for pretty much no value, but he still scrapped with his Lord, which probably closed near 6,000 value. 4.5. I guess I thought it might have gotten a little bit more at the end, but yeah, crazy good stuff. Yeah, really just the Lord tried to scrap that game out. Not bad performances from some of the mid-tier elite infantry in the late game. But overall, the Dreadsaurian was too dreaded this day. 4,300 value on that bad boy. Really put that game on his big lizard back. And the Ripperdactyls as well. That was a hard carry by Ripperdactyls and the Dreadsaurian. It was cool to see the Dreadsaurian do well, man. Especially against like a gunline faction. That's a very risky pick, but he was able to maneuver and get those good picks and made it work. So GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with some sweet replays soon. You guys take care of yourselves. And that is it for tonight.